approached by Eve about helping to get the women back to the region. This is something that activists on the ground have been trying to do for the last 2.5 years. No one's helping us get people home. And that call came from V-Day saying, how do we help you get your people back? What's going to happen now is that the networks that have been established in locating these women in these cities are being given back to the women. So hopefully they'll be able to reestablish those networks in the cities in which they are currently residing to make themselves stronger to come back home. So we're hoping to be one of many ripples in something great.
And what you feel needs to happen in New Orleans in terms of housing, in terms of the overall situation, what the city, state, and federal government you feel has to do?
Yeah, you know, New Orleans is currently lacking about 250,000 residents, most of whom would be fighting on the front lines of these battles that are tearing down perfectly viable public housing, that are tearing down rental units, that are causing the rents to go sky high.
We last were covering the New Orleans City Council, now white for the first time, or majority white for the first time in, what, 20 years, with people protesting, people being tasered in the city council room, protesting the imminent breaking down of the public housing.
That's right. They weren't only tasered inside of the room, they were kept out, they were locked out of a public meeting, and Moving Forward was there. Outside of the gate that was locked, and people could not go to a public meeting and say what they had to say and be heard and go through a process that the city council had put in order.
So what's happening with that housing now?
Well, the city of New Orleans has now given permits to knock down all of them. And so while you have a growing homeless population under the bridge in New Orleans, right next to the Lafitte housing project, yesterday they started demolishing that housing project, and it didn't get any water. It was one of the strongest buildings in the city. So you have people in the diaspora, you have people under the bridge, and you have housing being torn down. And the people who would be on the front lines of this are not here to fight. And
what is your theory of why they're breaking down housing that hadn't been drowned?
This is a plan that has long been in existence. This Katrina situation has allowed people to move forward on something they plan to do for a very long time. You get to get the folks who you do not want in the city out of the city, and you get to do what you want to do. The developments that will go up in their stead will not be as strong, will not be for the people who are displaced, and will not be for the folks who are in the diaspora cities. So, I mean, this is a plan. And as I mentioned, the people who would be on the front lines are conveniently outside of the region.
Do you think any of the women coming in from the diaspora today will stay?
I sure hope so.
Well, I want to thank you both very much for joining us, Colette Pichon-Battle and Carol Babel.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here, coming into the studios at WLAE. Well, from right here in New Orleans, as we now go global, women from around the world are traveling to New Orleans this weekend to attend the V-Day celebration. In a moment, we'll be joined by two prominent women rights advocates from Kenya and Iraq. But first, we turn to a clip of the Congolese activist Christine Schuler-Descriver. She is speaking this weekend here at the V-Day celebration in the Superdome. This is an excerpt from an interview that appears on the vday.org website.
I live in eastern part of Congo. I went back there 20 years ago when I finished my school in Belgium. My goal is now and more than ever to end with the massive rape we have in eastern part of Congo. In '98, I lost my best friend. She was raped by more than 20 people, and after she was killed, the husband was Canadian, he had to assist, and then they killed himself. Today the children are in the United States, and having 18 months, 10 months babies raped, dying in your arms, and you are just there, can't do nothing than talking and denouncing. And like V-Day say, until the violence stop, we will fight. We will fight, believe me, especially against this new country sport, rape. We're not talking about, I'm sorry, normal rapes. The woman who arrived there, the lucky one who arrived at the hospital, they arrived because they are completely destroyed. Bones, vagina, all the inside, destroyed. They are raped in very violent conditions. Mostly they're raped by 6 to 8 men daily. and then they put wood inside you. Now they also burn plastic and put hot plastics inside your organs. I'm not going to give you all the details, and sometimes they shoot inside you. And the bodies of women become ashtrays. The cigarettes on your body, so we have women who looks like a leopard, and just crazy and hard to believe. It has nothing to do anymore with a sexual need or something. It's just destroy to destroy. These women lost everything, everything, houses and women being, but they're still smiling. I don't know from where they have the strength, and that gives you strength to continue.
That was the Congolese activist Christine Schuler de Schrijver speaking about the Congo. She'll be speaking here this weekend at the V-Day to the 10th celebration that is taking place in the Superdome. I say celebration after she describes such dire situation for women, because women are gathering here to fight back, to fight against violence against women and children. We're joined right now by two other international women's rights activists who are in New Orleans for the weekend. Agnes Duprayo is the coordinator of the Vagina Monologues initiative in Kenya, the community-based group that helps save girls from female genital mutilation and early marriages. In 2002, she helped V-Day open a safe house in Kenya to create a safe haven for young girls. In 2005, Agnes Duprayo was named Kenyan Person of the Year by the United Nations. We're also joined by Yanar Mohammed. She is here in New Orleans from Iraq, co-founder of the Organization for Women's Freedom in Iraq, the group that vocally supports women's rights in Iraq. She shelters Iraqi women targeted in honor killings and sectarian violence. She was born in Baghdad in 1960. She left Iraq in 1993, then returned after the U.S. invasion. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Can you explain the title of your organization, Agnes?
My organization is the Vagina Monologues Initiative, which means rescuing girls, and I'm the coordinator of the program.
What are you rescuing them from?
We rescue these girls from female genital mutilation and early childhood marriages.
Talk about both. Talk about early childhood. Talk about female genital mutilation.
Female genital mutilation is a culture that is deeply rooted among my community. And this involves the cutting of the clitoris and part of the labia majora. And this is performed because they believe it's a culture that makes one an adult.
That makes a girl an adult.
An adult and accepted in the community. And early childhood marriage is a culture that happens in my community too, because girls are married at an early age, as from 9 years to 15, which we think these girls are still married when they are children and cannot be wives. And that's why we came up, the Vagina Monologues initiative came up with that idea of educating the community to understand the effects of female genital mutilation and early childhood marriages.
How do you go about the education process, and what part of Kenya are you from?
From Narok, that is in the southern part of Kenya.
So you're talking to your own community.
I'm talking to my own community, because when you want to change a culture, you have got to understand the culture, and you have also have to come from that culture so that you'll know what to talk about and how to approach the culture. Because if you don't approach the culture in the right way, people might mistake you to be misusing their culture.
What do you find is the most effective way to convince